Thank you much for joining. My name is Autry J. Pruitt. I'm the CEO of New Journey Political Action Committee. We're a new type of political action committee. I'm hoping this video today will help inform and help persuade you to donate to the cause. We're a political action committee that's dedicated to moving Black voters from the blue column to the red column, and not just for the short term, for the long term. Most of the stuff we're going to cover today involves short-term movement in this election for Trump 2020 and for Republican candidates up and down the ballot. However, keep this in mind. We are a political action committee that's going to be active in between election cycles and active during the midterm. I want to thank James Golden, our founder. Most of you will know him as Bo Snerdley from the Rush Limbaugh program. Again, my name is Autry, and just in case you think I'm robotic, this is my family. My beautiful wife, Margarita. We have Emma Rose and myself and my oldest daughter together, Larissa. My wife is the mother of these two beautiful children, and she has been the anchor and in a large part has played a seminal role in why I'm able to lead this organization today, because it takes tons of your energy and tons of your time. But Margarita, like myself, we are committed to the cause. We're New Journey PAC. Our motto is building legacy, making history, and changing minds together. I'd like to acknowledge my staff. I have Angela Swinson, AJ, Darren Williams, AJ's Chief of Staff. Darren Williams is Director of Policy and Endorsements. And Amber, who is joining us on tomorrow as the Director of Operations. Depending on when you view this, it may be tomorrow or maybe 2 days past. I want to talk to you a little bit about the 4 types of groups that traditionally the Republican National Committee and the GOP in general has given the stage to. These are 4 groups that generally come from the Black community that the GOP has given a stage to. Republican audience focus groups, conversation igniters, intellectuals, and those of Christian and religious focus. First, let's start with those who are Republican focused. Those are people like Diamond and Silk and Terrence K. Williams. They're great entertainers. They're great comedians. They make you laugh, but their presentation is designed for Republican audiences. It's designed to keep you engaged, to keep your votes coming. It's designed to make sure that you can have a little laugh as we go about tackling the serious issues in this country. Next, you have the firebrands, the conversation igniters. Those are people like Officer Tatum and Candace Williams. These are individuals who have become very apt, I should say, at taking a grenade and throwing it into the conversation to make everybody's head spin and wheel and think about their true beliefs. Candace Owens has spent the much of her young career forcing liberals to defend logically their beliefs, and when they don't, their heads explode. Next, you have our intellectuals and our policy admins. These are people whose books and papers and lectures have given us a foundation of conservative policy and how that policy can help the Black community in the long term. Those are people like Thomas Sowell and Shelby Steele. And then next you have individuals of a Christian religious focus. And notice, these individuals may not necessarily endorse a particular party, but their views, their sermons, what they preach and write and teach usually align with Republican values. People like Darrell Scott, he actually is a religious advocate for the president. He serves with Black Voices for Trump. And you have someone like T.D. Jakes, who is not an advocate of either candidate, but his views and what he preaches and teaches aligns mostly with the party. New Journey proposes to be a 5th force, and this force does not exist today. A strategic operation, 24/7, 365 messaging center that doesn't go dark between election cycles. In other words, we're active throughout the year. I've made this premonition, I've made the prediction, it turns out to be correct. To win the black vote, you can't come in a month, 2 months, and 3 months. To win a good portion of the black vote, we need to embed in the communities, and we need to do it early. That's what we mean by political action committee. It's not enough to run advertisement. It's not enough to do door knockers. It's not enough to do postcards. You've got to be there shaking hands all throughout the year, not just in the same year as the election. And New Journey PAC is going to fulfill that role. We engage black voters where they live, where they are in their neighborhoods, in our neighborhoods, with a practical, relentless campaign, which does two things: pushes pro-capitalism and pro-American issues. And then we support those candidates, and we support the candidates' values so long as they align with the aforementioned pro-capitalism and pro-American issues. Now, the question is, where are these communities? Now, obviously, physically, such as in some places in Miami, some places in Houston, Dallas, Chicago, etc., we know where they are. But they also exist digitally. They also exist online. We're going places where traditionally GOP candidates can't go, or where the GOP refuses to go, both in person, in certain neighborhoods, certain zip codes, and online. The concentration of black voters, according to the most recent research, is here. Rolling out: Nick at Night, Boss Up, The Root, World Star, XXL, News One, TV One. This is where 75 to 80% of the black voters, are. Now you may say real quick, Nick at Night. Well, Nick at Night is really simple. And I didn't even realize it, but I was there myself, right? My kids like some of the Nick at Night stuff, or at least they did when they were younger. My 2-year-old's not quite old enough yet to watch that much TV. But certainly my older daughter, she likes Nick at Night. And what I realized was I probably was viewing that channel for 15 to 20% of my viewing experience in totality. And if I was not a working parent, it probably would be closer to my wife at 50 to 60%. Why? Because the parents who are involved, particularly politically, often care about what their kids are watching. And so even if they're not watching it, they're looking at it passively. They've got the hearing on in the background. And if something comes on that ignites their little ears, they all of a sudden pay attention. This is why I can tell you personally, Nickelodeon has developed a pro-BLM, anti-capitalism, and anti-conservatism campaign. I know many of you have had children long ago. For those of you who do have children now or expecting children, I encourage you, even those who had children long ago, turn on Nickelodeon, watch it for about 30 minutes, and you will start to see a flood of anti-American, anti-conservatism commercials. It's not necessarily always overt, but I will say this: the pro-BLM commercials, they are definitely overt. This is where black people are. And let me give you, let's talk for a minute about World Star Hip Hop. Because even if this is where black people are, a lot of the criticism, I shouldn't say criticism, I'll say it, a lot of the feedback I've received is, well, these places are always anti-Trump. Remember, just because they're necessarily anti-capitalist, just because they have some anti-American values, doesn't necessarily mean they're anti-Trump. It doesn't necessarily mean they won't put on pro-American or pro-capitalistic values. It just means that we're not there. Let me give you an illustration. We're going to talk about World Star Hip Hop in comparison to the New York Times. This is important. The New York Times is the 125,000 site in the world. Out of 2.5 billion website, it ranks number 125,000, an amazing number. The daily time spent on the site is 21 seconds, enough to read some headlines. And lately, it's been going up 17%. Engagement with the New York Times has been climbing 17%. These figures are about a week and a half old, by the way. Now let's look at how World Star smokes the New York Times. This site, out of 2.5 billion sites, World Star Hip Hop is 1,745th in the world. A site that many of you have never even heard of. It's never come up in your email or on your social feed. And in fact, don't go to it, because if you went to it, you might have to put some holy water on your eyes. 1,745. This statistic, though, is what's the amazing statistic. The average time on a site floats around 2 minutes now. Get this. The average time on the World Star Hip Hop site is 8 minutes and 26 seconds. Phenomenal. 8 minutes and 26 seconds, right? Oh, and I made a brief mistake. I made a brief error. The Alexius ranks the New York Times 125,000 in the world. It ranks World Star Hip Hop 1,745 in the world, 1,745th in the world, excuse me. In the US, the New York Times is ranked about 36,000. In the US, World Star Hip Hop is ranked 463. Let me illustrate that to you one more time. In the United States, the New York Times has the 36,000th most popular website. World Star Hip Hop is the 463rd most popular website. These are amazing figures, especially considering the fact that World Star Hip Hop, the site that's on your screen right now, is targeted towards, guess what? Black people, and more specifically, Black males. WorldStarHipHop.com is not targeted towards Republicans or targeted towards conservatives. But I want you to notice two things going on that's different than CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post, Chicago Tribune, LA Times, whatever major paper. Notice two things. One, the headline they have about Trump here is actually a positive headline. When this plan, the $1 billion platinum plan for Black America, was announced by Trump, no major paper or website gave it a real, authentic, honest headline. But World Star Hip Hop did so. And then notice number two, Candace Owens. Again, it's something she said about the Breonna Taylor tragedy, but it's given a positive look. It's not a spin. They actually just said the truth and said it authentically. And at that time, if you could have dived into the stories, you would see that the reporting is actually a little bit balanced. It's not always balanced on this site, believe you me. But the lead heading, this is the very first page you see, the header of this page had 2 positive conservative viewerships. And yet the GOP is nowhere on this site. So digitally, and this, by the way, is just an example digitally. But when you find this case on TV, you'll find it on the radio. The GOP is largely vacant. Now, I will say this. There are a few groups that are highly active in Black radio, but nowhere near the extent they should be. And you maybe have 1 or 2 groups that air 1 commercial or 2 commercials over and over and over again. But that's not going to cut it. What we have to be able to do is be able to tell a story. We need to be able to tell a story in a narrative form, embedded in a story that someone else wants to see. And how do we do that? We do it through our plan, so aptly titled, Own the Break, Own the Message. This is how traditional TV spots look. You have spot 1, spot 2, spot 3, Republican, right? Spot 4, spot 5, spot 6, Republicans. So you know people tune out, people get on their phones, people go up to use the restroom, they go get something to eat, they go kiss their wives, they want to make a quick phone call when a commercial comes on. That's what they want to do. But in this case, right, that you can miss it. In other words, if they get up at 27 and they're gone for 27:30, if they come back at 28:30, commercial's still there, they've missed it. You've missed an opportunity. And what we think is a better strategy is this right here. Own the break, own the message. We've developed a strategy, and I can tell you some of this in person through our media partners, by which we can actually buy 2 and 3 minutes blocks of time back to back during a popular show where the Black audience is. So that even if you go to the bathroom, even if you call your wife, even no matter what you do, when you come back before viewing your program, you are still subject to this message. And we can do this multiple ways. We can have one story in 3 minutes, or we can have it so that the story is in 3 minutes, and then there's the break, and then the next 3 minutes, there's another part of the story. Storytelling is where that embedding a story and playing it consistently for a long period of time is how you guarantee exposure. And through some strategies we worked out here in cooperation with our media partners, by the way, and a lot of this stuff we have to do in-house, otherwise it'll get discovered. We've been able to do something that other political action committees and other groups haven't done. Get whole blocks of time in popular show segments. And I'm going to show you an example of one of those. We're going to watch it together. This is a 3-minute commercial. Now, I know you think 3 minutes, nobody's going to pay attention to the 3 minutes. That's not the point. The point is that throughout the entire break, no matter when they turn into that break, they get it. They get exposed to this message. Hopefully so. When they see it, they say, you know what? The next time this comes on, I want to see this commercial again. Here we go.
Senator Kamala Harris wants you to believe she's one of us. In reality, she's two-faced. Senator Kamala is full of contradictions, flip-flops, slander, corruption, false statements, discrimination, and lies. Those are her tools to throw Black men in prison.
I believe the moves that she did, like not wanting to release me when clearly it was shown that I was, done wrong, I think it was just an opportune again.
Now, fellow Black women, it wasn't only the brothers. She came for us too.
On March 13, 2013, I was arrested for truancy for my child, and she has a chronic illness called sickle cell anemia. This is me. The day they came and arrested me at my house to be arrested based on the fact that your child has a chronic illness. And if I would have known that they were looking at truancy, I would have tried to take care of it and make sure everything was right.
And I believe a child going without an education is tantamount to a crime. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy.
But when she was the AG in California, a Black man knew that he was dead in the water. She took pride in locking up Black folk. Check out her record. She locked us up left and right. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana.
Have you ever smoked?
Yeah, my family's from Jamaica. Are you kidding me? I have.
Okay.
And I inhale. I did inhale.
Kamala Harris needs to understand that our men and women in prison is no laughing matter.
She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so.
The only reason why he sits in prison in San Quentin State Prison at age 76 is because the state has saw it fit to not disclose the most material information on the only witness that they had against them.
She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California, and she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Senator Kamala Harris didn't care about Black pain in the courthouse, and now she is using our pain to get to the White House. Kamala Harris would like us to believe she has evolved, but no matter how many times a snake sheds its skin, it's still a snake. Stay out of prison. Vote Trump.
New Journey PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by newjourneypac.org and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
You can't tell the truth about her in 30 seconds. You can't convey it all. Remember, this commercial is not designed for someone to sit down and watch the whole 3 minutes, although hopefully, eventually, they might. It's designed so that no matter where you come in at the commercial, it's like a movie. It's like another story. What's this? What's going on? Let me look. Let me see. Let me check it out. That's a part of our unique strategy. Own the break, own the message. Another part is that the message must be organic. It must come from within the community. Yes, I give speeches, I give talks on other African-American members of the staff here at New Journey PAC, but we're known conservatives. We're known commodities. And if we're not known, you Google us and you find us quick. What we do is we try to find the stories. We don't care whether or not the person used to be a Trump supporter, isn't a Trump supporter, wasn't Obama, Republican, Democrat. We want the story to lead, the story that tells the message that we're trying to share with Black voters. It's in that spirit you have BLM Live.
This is not a protest. This is not in the spirit of Martin Luther King Jr. This is chaos. So when you burn down this city, you're burning down our community. You are disgracing our city. You are disgracing the life of George Floyd and every other person who has been killed in this country.
You said Black Lives Matter. I'm a part owner of this store. You said Black Lives Matter. Look what you did to my store. We've been here all night cleaning up. All night cleaning. And you got black people standing right here with them. Tell me Black Lives Matter. You lied.
So time and again, I see a pattern of Black Lives Matter is not standing up for Black lives or Black people or Black neighborhoods or the Black condition at all. What they're standing up for is more white liberal money coming to them and their cronies.
Recently we had the older woman who was crying. All the grocery stores that I shop at were breaking
because they
down.
burned her down.
Churches burned down.
I don't want to have too much hyperbole here, but it appears to me as if white Democrats don't even care. This is a photo op for white liberals.
All the white folks came down here, left the north side to come up here and help us do this stupid baby, all them already kids out here not eating. What you want me to pick through that like I'm an animal? What the this got to do with George Floyd? And then yesterday they was murdering people. Can't even get my kids nothing to eat, man.
Does Joe Biden, does Kamala, do they really even truly care?
New Journey PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising. Paid for by NewJourneyPAC.org and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
That commercial gets me almost every time. It's been a little bit since I've last seen it, and almost every time it gets me. At the end of the video, you notice this is not about Trump. It is not about Republicans and Democrats. It is about people in a Black community trying to work, trying to better themselves, trying to get ahead. And as soon as they get their toe out the door to get open, the liberals come in with protest, with gang violence, with murder and rape, and destroy what they claim to protect. This is the kind of message that needs to be delivered. I can't tell you why the Republican Party won't deliver the message. I've got some theories. I won't give them to you now. I can't even tell you why the Trump campaign won't deliver this kind of message. My theory with them is that they feel it's too controversial to deliver. All I can tell you is that it needs to be there. We don't need to move 40 and 50, 60% of the Black vote. We need this message to break through in these final weeks to just 15% of the Black electorate. Enough to keep Michigan, Pennsylvania, Florida, and Ohio in the Trump camp. Corporations are fighting us. Corporations are pushing back at us hard, even when we deliver messaging that is not anti-Biden or not anti-Trump. A company is there to take us out. So sometimes you need to push back against corporate America. Yes, even during an election cycle, you need to tear at the corporate brand a little bit to let individuals know you're fighting for them. That it's not just about Biden, it's not about Trump, but it's about the fight for them. And then the hope is that it connects in the mind. That the fight for them also connects to Trump is fighting for them too. And fighting doesn't always look pretty. UrbanCure.org, one of the charities that we support, tried to deliver a message of hope that was not even pro-Trump because they couldn't legally. They tried to deliver a message to the Black community that if you want to stay out of poverty, you should do some critical things such as graduate, take any job, save, invest, and give back. That you should do those things. Get married was one of them. And Black Lives Matter came along, and with one phone call, not even from a national Black Lives Matter officer, but from some peon, one phone call to corporate, they took the billboard campaign down all across the country. This is what we're dealing with. And until we have a political action committee that is not only willing to stand up for conservative values, for conservative candidates, and against liberal ones, but also stand up against these corporations who have come down on the side of the liberal elite crazies, we won't make it. And so what New Journey PAC has committed to doing is if you come after us, we're coming after you and your brand.
In Black neighborhoods everywhere, corporate giants fund media that subject Black children to messaging of rape, murder, and extreme content every day.
My little sister's birthday, she remember me. For a gift I had telling my boy taking virginity.
Rape a pregnant bitch and tell my friends I had a threesome.
Clear Channel, the largest outdoor ad agency, caved to pressure from big media and refused to allow positive messaging in the Black community. So why does Clear Channel Outdoor not allow UrbanCure.org to promote proven ways to escape poverty? Because the group that supports Joe Biden would rather you listen to negative, oppressive messaging rather than uplifting and positive messaging. They don't want you to know the truth.
New Journey PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by NewJourneyPAC.org and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
We need to tell corporate America enough. Enough. We will not roll over anymore and just accept you saying anything about our candidates, anything about our values, anything about our platform. If you target us, we target you. And New Journey Political Action Committee is about this. Now, right now, in the final weeks of the election, we're honing our message in on Biden and Trump. But I wanted to show this to you, and this is part of the long-term plan, the long-term agenda, because we showed this message to a couple of people at Clear Channel, and we got a call back. We got an answer. It wasn't the answer we want, but they didn't ignore us like they do most GOP organizations. We're also committed to any candidate that represents a large portion of the Black electorate. This is important. There are white candidates that represent districts that have 10, 15, 18, 20, 30% of a Black population. Those people cannot be ignored. And the Democrats are targeting those districts right now. In 2018, you had about a 40 or 41 flip. Imagine if Republicans would have been embedded in those districts, speaking to the Black community. It would have made the job of the Democrats at least 10 times harder. That's what Democrats do to us. Democrat operatives right now in Texas, a guaranteed GOP state, they're there. That's how they were able to close the gap. Ted Cruz should have ran away with the election in 2018. And instead, Beto O'Rourke came within 2.4 percentage points of knocking Senator Cruz out. A steadfast conservative. He almost got knocked out 2.4 points. That's within the margin of error, people. This is real. And so we've got to expand not to just supporting Black candidates and not supporting just the top of the ticket, but to supporting the unlikely candidate, the candidate that is struggling. And we're proud to present that this young lady who we're supporting is very controversial, but she won her primary when most people couldn't think she could, and she is well on her way. She might just unseat a 12-year, I think, Democratic congresswoman. I think Lois Franklin's been there 12 years. Her name is Laura Loomer. Look at the commercial we did for her. Now, notice in this commercial, these are not Republican talking points. These are not GOP talking points. These are talking points which resonate with the community that we're trying to get their votes.
You have something to say, but the system won't let you. Not too long ago, we Americans enjoyed the freedom to speak our minds, but times have changed. Now, big tech companies are moving fast to suppress our voices, and no matter who you are, if you oppose, they will get you. Investigative journalist Laura Loomer stood up to expose the truth, but big tech silenced her. Chase Bank won't accept her money. Cash App won't let her send money. Facebook won't let anyone talk about it. They canceled Laura, and you can be next. It's time to fight oppressive cancel culture and stand with Laura. Black, Latina, and victims of brutality, Laura will stand with you and speak for you no matter what. Vote for Laura Loomer, your fearless voice in Congress.
New Journey PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by NewJourneyPAC.org and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Our use of image techniques there is a little bit different. Our use of taking people that we don't like, but shedding them in a different light that align with the values is also new. Think about what you just saw. It was not negative to President Obama. It wasn't not negative to Colin Kaepernick. Yes, those two individuals are not people that we necessarily agree with, but some of the messaging that they're doing, some of the things they said align with our values. So let's use that. Our job is to move the voter from the blue to the red column. Our job is not to get into a philosophical discussion and not talk about the M's and all. That's not our job. Our job is to get the votes. Remember, I talked to you before about the groups. Remember, we're the fifth force. New Journey PAC is the fifth force designed to move a voter. Now, there's also issues that resonate. DeSantis proved this in Florida with school choice, and Trump has the same chance. Many individuals haven't even seen some of the images you're going to see at the very end of this next commercial of President Trump with children. I know we're used to the Trump that just recently flew in on the helicopter Marine One out of Walter Reed. We're used to the strength, we're used to the power. But Trump shows his empathy, his sympathy, and his love for all God's creatures here with children. And school choice is an issue because many Black people on the left, Black people right now who can't stand Republicans, who can't stand the GOP, who hate President Trump, many of them right now have went to a private school, a charter school, and now send their kids to a private or charter school. These individuals you're going to see at the beginning of this commercial have, I think, universally come out against Trump. But they all uphold values of hard work, investing, staying married, and school choice. It's time to message on the issues in those communities. Rome wasn't built in a day. The Black vote wasn't lost in one day. It was lost over a period of decades. So it's going to take some time to get it back. And this is where we start.
School choice is more than just a choice. It's an opportunity. An opportunity for our children to reach the potential already inside them, to rise up and succeed at life. But Democrats strongly oppose school choice and vow to end charter schools.
And so the point is, if I'm president, Betsy DeVos's whole notion from charter schools to this is gone.
President Trump supports school choice. He's fighting to give our children a better education.
We're fighting for school choice. Frankly, school choice is the civil rights statement of the year.
This November, vote for school choice. Vote Trump.
New Journey PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising. Paid for by NewJourneyPAC.org and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
I'm extraordinarily proud, just beyond belief, of the work we produce here in New Journey PAC. If you go to our website, NewJourneyPAC.org, and click our work, you can see cartoons, merchandise, more videos. You can see just the vast amount of work we have put out here. I don't want to criticize other PACs. I'm not saying that we're so much better than every other PAC, but I will say this. The work, the quantity of work, and the quality of work we do is beyond reproach. We're the best of the best in our field. And to that end, sometimes we have to take a soft approach. It's not just about the harshness. It's not just about the issues. Sometimes you just need to uplift and show a candidate. And we're proud to say that this candidate, John James, has tied his race virtually in Michigan. He's a Senate. He's running for U.S. Senate in the state of Michigan, and he has tied his race. And I am proud to say, in a small part, because of the messaging that we have been doing there. John James, an amazing American, a Black American that shows no matter what the left tells you, no matter how much they tell you you're oppressed, you're depressed, no matter how much they tell you you have to beg and plead from the government, you can do anything. John James.
Listen closely, listen very closely, because I want to be clear. In 2020, we must remember that Lincoln did not fight the Civil War to beat the South. He and his party, the Republican Party, stood up to end the physical bondage of Black people and to keep this country together. This election is about freeing those in socioeconomic bondage in our cities and winning back a generation turning to socialism on our campuses. For the American dream to prevail, for us to save a generation, we must show them an America where a child's outcome isn't determined by the zip code they're born in, where a good education is attainable and hard work truly does get you ahead. We must show them an America where the son of a slave can become a sharecropper, the son of a sharecropper can become a mason, the son of a mason can become a truck driver, and the son of that truck driver can stand before you here today on the brink of becoming Michigan's first Black U.S. Senator.
New Journey PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising. Paid for by NewJourneyPAC.org and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
My gosh, this is what's amazing to me. John James, U.S. Senate, can show young African Americans that it can be done. This is what's important. This is what's important. That we don't let just Obama lead the legacy. Republicans can lead that legacy too. I want to talk to you a little bit about Florida, and I want you to understand just a little bit of how close we are. And I know nobody wants to trust the polls. Nobody wants to talk about the polls. I get it. Okay, everybody wants to say the polls lied. Let's face some facts. The polls last time in these swing states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Florida, they were within the margin of error, right? The major polls all were within the margin of error. So we're fighting a close battle here. We're fighting a tough battle here. And it's got to be fought strategically where we believe we can pick up a few votes. If you can pick up 1,000 votes, 2,000 votes, 3,000 votes, even though we're running small campaigns, very targeted, highly targeted certain segmented areas, that's the ball game. It really is. Let's take a look at Florida. This is Governor DeSantis, so this would have been 2018. 49.6% to Andrew Gillum, 49.2%. That's how narrow it was. How narrow, look at that. 4,076,000 votes to 4,043,000 votes. With 47,053 votes respectively going to the Reform and other parties. That's how narrow the victory was in 2018. That is what we're fighting, and I would dare say even closer than that today. That's why your donations and your contributions to the PAC are so important, because it's in these pockets, Orlando, Tampa, Miami, Jacksonville, in these blue pockets, these heavy concentrated pockets, my goal right now is not to take the deep blue pocket of Miami and Orlando and flip it from blue to red. My goal is to make it light blue and a little less light blue. That's the goal. It's almost like winning the football game. We're not throwing the Hail Mary for the touchdown. We're going 10 yards, like 10 yards for that first down. I want to show you Michigan. It's very important. Michigan, this is 2000. This is 2016 on the left and 2018 on the right. I think actually for you guys it's separate, right? Michigan results. 0.3% between Trump and Clinton. Look at that in Michigan. 0.3%. If what is that, 68 to what, 10, 11,000 more black people would have turned out to vote? Just 11,000. Just 11,000 more. That's basically 3 people in each precinct would have turned out more to vote. The election could have swung the other way. That's how critical this is. 3 people per precinct. That's why our ads are so targeted. That's why you're not always going to see them on CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and some other places. You're not going to see them because we're trying to air them where people are. If we can convert just 10 people in a precinct, that can make all the difference in the world. And then in 2018, look at the converse. Look at the spread now. 52.3 to 45.8. This is a miracle in and of itself. Debbie Stabenow, the Democrat, raised the gap. Now, I know we talk about data, I know we talk about numbers, and I know a lot of people get nervous when I talk about data and numbers, but I only have to go what I have to go on, right? I can't make business decisions. I can't make PAC decisions. I can't do it just off the seat of my pants. Some of it, true, your instincts and your gut lead you to certain places, but at the end of the day, you gotta look at the numbers and look at what the numbers are telling us. And the numbers are telling us that in 2016, it was close. In 2018, the Democrats were very successful in driving a Russian collusion and God knows what else message, which made the spread a little bit bigger. That means we need to get that spread in 2018 from this. We need to get it back down to this. We need to reverse course in Michigan. And again, this is going to be tackling each individual precinct on where we can move these votes. And I believe we can move these votes with black voters. It doesn't take a lot of us, just a few of us. Let's look at Pennsylvania real quickly. Pennsylvania, spread just a little bit more, right? Look at this, right? You have a little less than 1% spread here. Again, Philadelphia, Allentown, Pittsburgh. Look at all the red in the state. But because the high concentration of populations in Philadelphia, in Allentown, and in Pittsburgh happen to be, and Pittsburgh is surrounded by conservatives, but it happens to be all blue. So what's our goal here? Our goal is just to lessen it a little bit. I'm not trying to flip Philadelphia. I'm not trying to flip Allentown or Pittsburgh. What I'm trying to do, Donald Trump barely won this state. And what we need to do is just get it shaded just a little bit more. Get these counties shaded just a little bit more. Again, each precinct here can make a difference. I want to talk to you about why Democrats win the black vote. One of the things you hear all the time is, oh, Democrats take the black vote for granted. Democrats take the black vote for granted. Now, this is only for March and July, right? But BLM received commitments of 750 million or more. And then if you take in all the organizations that are supporting BLM, look at this chart. This is amazing. All of these companies you see, Apple in the center, Facebook, Etsy, Target, 23andMe, a DNA company, for God's sake. This is a scientific company, for God's sakes. Dropbox, Pokemon, Tinder, the dating app. They all have poured money into Black Lives Matter. The NAACP, the ACLU, Rainbow Push Coalition, the Southern Poverty Law Center. You know, the Southern Poverty Law Center listed Ben Carson as a racist on their website. The National Action Network, which is Reverend Al Sharpton's outfit. These corporations have given all of this money into these groups. What have they given to the conservatives? Do you think we have a sister charity, or UrbanCure.org and the African American Education Research and Alliance Foundation? Have they given anything to those groups? No. I think Microsoft has given about 200 grand, 250 grand to the Heritage Foundation. I do believe Microsoft did that. But certainly, where are these other companies? We're not taking part. This is what we're fighting against. When they tell you that they're coming for you, this is how they're doing it. When the liberals say they're coming for you, they're not coming with guns. Yes, some Antifa people are, some millennial people are, but this is how they're going to get you. This is why your programming is liberal. This is why your kids are preaching liberal stuff all day, every day in and day out. Because they give the money to these groups, $1 billion, and this was in July. By now, it's got to be $2 billion, maybe even more. Democrats are not taking the black vote for granted. You don't take stuff for granted that you give $1 billion to. This is where we are. We're 4 weeks out. This is where we are. This is what we need to raise. What we need to raise. We need some big checks. This is it. We've got to get in these precincts in Florida, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, and then Minnesota. We've got to get in these precincts and help turn this tide. How do we do it? We're simply following, by the way, the data, both our internal polling data and polls of other people, right? Even if there is an underground Trump vote, let's say of 4 to 5%, but the data showing that so far our precinct is going at 0.9%, or I'm sorry, 9%, then we need to get that back down within the margin of error to give Trump a fighting chance. And that's what I'm asking you to do now. Take out your checkbook, New Journey Political Action Committee, and write a check. This is where your money goes. To try to help turn this tide, this election cycle. Frederick Douglass wrote, "I'm a Republican, a black dyed-in-the-wool Republican, and I never intended to belong to any other party than the party of freedom and progress. Do not let liberals take from you the mantle which you've had since slavery. The Republican Party is the party of freedom and progress." I know it's a lot to ask. I know it's an investment. But if I can go back and show you this so you can see for yourselves, I just want to show it to you so you can see for yourselves. The cost of silence. This is it. This is the cost of silence. We don't have Netflix. We don't have Facebook. We don't have Amazon, Airbnb. All we have, we don't have Coca-Cola. And I love Coke. You can see my fridge right over there. I love Coca-Cola. We don't have any of this. All we have is you. That's it. That's it. And we need to win this election. And then when this election's over, we cannot stop. We're going to stop for about 2 hot seconds when Trump wins and celebrate. Yay! And then on the 3rd second, we got to get to work because we have to win a midterm and we got to win another presidency because they're not fighting. They're not going to stop fighting. And we can't either. Join me today. Please write a check. Give whatever you can give. And you also have a pledge form with you. I encourage you, pledge for 5 years. One solid gift every year on this same date. One solid gift. After the election, I'll take some time and have conversations with some of our bigger donors, and that means you. And I can tell you about our progress. I can tell you about failures and successes and where we're going. We've got a lot of great stuff planned. Anyway, I've been with you long enough. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, effort, and check out newjourneypack.org and make out your contribution to newjourneypack.org.